Hi, this is Rivki, the head of podcasts here at Unpacked. If you enjoy soulful Jewish living, let me tell you about another incredible podcast from the Unpacked team. It's called Wandering Jews with Michal and Noam. Headed by the brilliant Michal Biton and Noam Weissman, two seasoned educators and scholars, Wandering Jews explores what it means to live a meaningful Jewish life today. With curiosity, humor, and heart, Michal and Noam tackle the big questions of identity, tradition, and how Judaism fits into our modern world. This month, Wandering Jews is celebrating its first birthday by sharing the top 5 staff picks. Every Wednesday this month, we're sharing episodes that have sparked the most interesting discussions and resonated with listeners over the past year. Whether you're discovering Wandering Jews with Michal and Noam for the first time or revisiting some favorite moments, now is the perfect time to tune in. You can find Wandering Jews wherever you listen to podcasts. I think you'll love it.
Welcome to Soulful Jewish Living, Mindful Practices for Every Day, with me, Josh Feigelson. I'm grateful you're here, and I hope you benefit from our time together. One of the most moving spiritual moments of my life happened at my nephew Ezra's bar mitzvah. A little background. My parents were blessed with 11 grandchildren. 5 were born and grew up in Israel, and Ezra is the oldest of the American 6. So it was the first family celebration of this kind in the U.S., and that made it special. On top of that, of all the grandchildren on either side of the Atlantic, Ezra is the one who has always loved going to synagogue the most, even as a kid. So after Ezra finished his aliyah to the Torah, Anshe Shalom B'nai Israel congregation in Chicago burst into singing and dancing. As I remember it, the dancing circle felt like it extended around the entire perimeter of the sanctuary. It was a moment. This was a few years before my dad passed away, and he was already moving more slowly, so I stayed with him at his seat. Taking in the scene, his grandson being paraded around the shul, the whole place erupting in this joyous moment, he was overcome. And then he turned to me, tears in his eyes, and said, "I bless you that you should experience the kind of joy that I'm feeling right now." It was a really precious moment for both of us. This is the 4th episode in our mini-series on responding more mindfully to anti-Semitism. And while we've spent the first 3 episodes talking about disrupting triggers and trauma responses, I want to shift in a different direction now. Trauma, triggers, pain, they're all real. But we can also have a different response to anti-Semitism, something just as real and just as important: telling a different story. A story about the joys of being Jewish. Being Jewish is not primarily a story about being a victim. As the story from my nephew's bar mitzvah reminds me, there is so much that is joyful, amazing, and inspiring about being Jewish. And it's so important that we spend time on all that goodness, too, and remind ourselves of what we love about this inheritance of ours. So that's our focus for today. For some people, thinking about what you love about being Jewish may feel kind of strange. A few years ago, the Pew Research Institute reported that 76% of Jewish Americans said that remembering the Holocaust was an important part of Jewish life, higher than celebrating Shabbat or Passover or eating Jewish foods. Think about that for a second. If you ask American Jews what's important about being Jewish, the number one answer is remember the Holocaust. Now, I'm not saying remembering the Holocaust isn't important. It is. Antisemitism and Jew hatred are real. That's why we're doing this mini-series. But what happens when the central tentpole of Jewish identity becomes remembering the suffering of our people and not the things that bring us joy, inspiration, wisdom, and vitality? One thing that can happen is that we start to tell ourselves that more than anything, being Jewish means being a victim or avoiding being a victim again. It can lead to a sense of hypervigilance, and it can lead to a really heavy and sad version of Jewishness that seems more focused on remembering the suffering of the past than in mindfully meeting the reality of the present. The Hasidic masters had this figured out. One of the great teachings of Hasidism is that all of our mitzvot are opportunities for connecting with ourselves, with other people, with the world, with the divine presence. And as the Maggid of Mezrich, one of the early Hasidic masters of the 1700s, put it, when we do a mitzvah with real awareness, real intention, real presence, then we experience joy. Not a surface level joy, but a deep sensation of simcha, the joy that comes from being fully present in this moment. As Rabbi Nachman of Bratslav put it, mitzvah gedola liot besimcha, to be joyful is essential to being Jewish. Or as my dad reminded me that day in shul, there's a lot of joy to be had in this tradition of ours. Here's a practice to help do that. First, I want to invite you to find some time to journal. Give yourself even just 5 minutes and set a timer. On paper, with a pen. And just start listing things you love about being Jewish. Things that bring you joy. It could be rituals like lighting Shabbat candles or the Passover Seder. It could be eating special foods. It could be the way we do life cycle moments, or Jewish humor, or studying Torah. It could be prayer melodies, or modern Hebrew songs, or maybe it's doing Havdalah by the lake at Jewish summer camp. Who knows? But in these 5 minutes, see what things come up. Just let your mind wander and free associate. At the end of 5 minutes, you may be finished, or you may want to give yourself another 5 minutes to keep going. It's up to you. Eventually, when you're finished, put the pen down and take a look at the list you've created. Take a moment to read each item out loud, slowly to yourself. See if you notice any bodily sensations or memories that come up. And notice how you feel overall. Perhaps a sense of warmth in the heart, a sense of fullness. What you may be feeling is joy, simcha, the joy of being Jewish. This is an amazing thing we're a part of, this Jewish people. And when we get overwhelmed by the anxieties and fears of antisemitism, I find it's helpful to tap into this deep well of joy that's here. I find it steadies me. It helps me to calm down. And from that calmer, more connected place, I can disrupt the triggers and the trauma cycle. And I can show up with a little more wisdom and a lot more joy. I hope that's true for you too. Blessings for the journey. Know that I'm on it with you. Thank you for joining us for Soulful Jewish Living, Mindful Practices for Every Day, a production of Unpacked, a division of OpenDor Media and the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. This episode is dedicated in memory of Bram and Hani Fischler, who passed away 20 years ago this year by their grandchildren. And we're sponsored by Jonathan and Corey Califer and the Somerset Patriots, the Bridgewater, New Jersey-based AA affiliate of the New York Yankees. If you like this show, subscribe, give us 5 stars, and write us a review on Apple Podcasts. Check out Jewish Unpacked for everything Unpacked related, and subscribe to our other podcasts, and check out the Institute for Jewish Spirituality. Most importantly, be in touch about what you heard today, what you'd like to hear more about, or to dedicate an episode. Write to me at josh@jewishunpacked.com. This episode was hosted by me, Rabbi Josh Feigelson. Audio was edited by Rob Pera, and were produced by Rivki Stern. Thanks for joining us.